All right, guys, welcome back to Call You DFS. The process. Um, just gonna do a quick recap of the Wyndham Championship before we go into the Northern Trust. Um, as you can see, I had a few guys that reached the top five, or top five, top 14, um, but didn't go as expected as far as like Glover or Duffner or Stanley or any of those guys winning the championship. It is what it is. I had high hopes for Duffner, but he couldn't pull through. And, you know, I knew it was going to be a difficult tournament, but, I gave my best on it because the field was so weak. Uh, it was disappointing, but like I said, it is what it is. Um, I had a few guys that did miss the cut. I tried to do a few sneak plays with Michael Kim and tag riding and Von Taylor. In my original video, I didn't have him listed. I had to go back and list him because it was human error. I overlooked him in my notes, but he was also somebody that I had, and he actually was doing well for the first 2 days, I believe. But then out of nowhere, he just birdie, 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 birdie. I mean, oh, I'm sorry, bogey, 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 bogey. um, it was a up and down. It was an up and down tournament last weekend. Stanley missed the cut again. Like I said, on paper, he looks like he's a shoe-in, but he can't get his putter right. I don't think. Oh yeah, I did play him. I hedged him over on Fanduel again. Like I said before in prior videos, I play golf or PGA DFS for Draftkings, but I'll do like hedging over on Fanduel because of the 8-man lineup. But he didn't make the cut. Uh, Mullinex didn't make the cut. I mean, none of those guys really made the cut. I mean, it was just like, it was crazy. And I'm glad I went with my gut about Ruffles because I actually said to myself, like, damn, man, I'm getting this gut feeling like I should put him to the side and don't play him, even though the little stats that I did find on him seemed like he would be a shoe-in, but he really just tanked. He tanked like crazy. Um, Here's my standing. I did not make it in the green at all. And I went against what I was originally gonna do, and that was to play a double up and just go from there. Play light, one lineup in a double up. That way I can make my money. I mean honestly, if I probably would have played the double up, I probably would have made my money. However, I went against my gut and played in the PGA Dogleg tournament GPP, and I lost. And the one thing about losing, it's nothing. I mean, in DFS, you're gonna win, you're gonna lose. But I prefer to get blown out. I prefer to lose big, like I mean by a wide margin, not to lose by a few hundred. I mean, I think to make it in the money, I had to get like 5,020th place to make it in the money. As you can see, I'm close to the green. I'm 5,797th place. And that hurts more than anything to be that close and still don't win. That that hurts more than anything. But it doesn't hurt more than this. All my guys made it to the weekend. I was 6 for 6. So that makes you wonder, like, how the fuck can you go 6 for 6 and still not make it to the money? But I chose to go against the chalk. I mean, I didn't want to get Webb Simpson. I didn't want to get Stinson. I wanted to be, I wanted to get Bradley. I wanted to get Duffner, Glover. I had some trick plays with Michael Kim, Reevy, and Riding, but at the end of the day, it didn't make it. They didn't make me. They didn't get me to the money. So it is what it is. You win, you lose. Sometimes you either gonna play the chalk or you're gonna go against it. I chose to go against it when I should have played it because of the weak field. However, lesson learned. But moving forward, let's get into the Northern Trust. All right, for the Northern Trust, I don't know, I think I've got like 24, 25 players here. I have a lot of players here. A lot of players. All right, so most of these players that I have on my pick, for the Northern Trust, I believe it's gonna. I believe honestly, I believe all of them will make the cut. The only ones I really question would be Hadwin, Steele, Um, Kang. I question those three. I don't want to say I question Garrigus, but uh, I believe out of this 25. Let me make sure I got 25. I'm sorry, I have to count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. I'm sorry, I got 28 golfers. So out of the 28 golfers, I believe 3 I might question to kind of miss the cut, but it's one of those GPP plays where you throw them in to go up against to seek equity on ownership. Um, I think a lot of the guys that I have are going to go overlooked, and I'll point them out. My number one value pick, or not value pick, but my number one guy that I'm choosing to go with is Stuart Sink. I think he's going to be overlooked. He's going to be overlooked for Xander Schauffele, I believe. Not even Xander Schauffele. I believe not Ian Poulter. Ian Poulter might go overlooked, and he might be a good play as well. But as far as the stats that I'm looking for, he's not. I think that he's not what I'm looking for. But I think Stuart Sink is a shoe-in. He's going to be low owned, and he's going to be. I think he's going to be in the top 20, if top 30 or top 20. Patrick Cantlay. I have him, and again, I'm flipping back and forth through my notes if you hear the pages. To be perfectly honest, if you're willing to go with Charlie Hoffman, I don't see why you wouldn't go with Patrick Cantlay. Now, the one downside to Patrick Cantlay is the fact that I'm more concerned on his birdie making it, scoring issues. I mean, it's not an issue. It's just that it's like he's going to either go par majority of the time and maybe get a few birdies here and there. He's not going to just birdie it up. And that's the only thing that worries me about him. Other than that, I think he's a shoo-in. I think I would put Cantlay over Chez Reavie. I think Chez Reavie is going to be chalk. And he for very good reason. Like I said, he's a lower price golfer that can put out the same results as Matt Kuchar. Only difference is sometimes Chez Reavie can be kind of up and down. He can be inconsistent. But with Kuchar, he's consistent all the time. So it's like, and honestly, I have Kuchar here making the cut, but I don't have him in my pick list simply because, one, I think he's going to be fairly owned, and two, I think he's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone to win the tournament, and I don't want to pay. I think he's priced up at $8K or something like that. I don't want to pay that much for Kuchar when I can get somebody like Reavie or somebody like Cantlay that can produce somewhat of the same results and give me some salary to actually pay up for a player. And the reason why I say pay up for a player is because I have the top 3 guys on my list: Matsuyama, Spieth, and Stinson. No, Fowler. Sorry. Actually, the top 4 guys: Stinson, Matsuyama, Fowler, and Spieth. The reason why I have those guys on my list, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest, like, I think with this course, honestly, let me get into my stats that I'm looking for. All right, so from favorite to least favorite, I'm looking for tee to green, off the tee, approach, accuracy, distance, and it's not quite distance, but I'll touch on that later, and greens in regulation. So those are my top 6 stats that I'm looking for in a golfer. However, when it comes to greens and regulations, that's at the bottom simply because the fairways are pretty forgiving for the, I don't want to say bombers, but for the guys that aren't that good off the tee or okay off the tee. They're pretty okay for them. So I have that at the bottom, but I have accuracy also in the middle of the pack, because when it comes to accuracy, you're going to want to put the ball somewhere where you can make a great approach or a good tee to green.
Now to go off that, I have par four scoring, par four birdieing, putting, which I'll get into that too, and controlled distance. Controlled distance. And the reason why I said I'll touch on distance is because I'm not looking for bombers. Don't get me wrong. Somebody that can hit the ball 300 plus yards are it's good. It's okay. But what I'm looking for controlled distance. What that means is someone that can knock it like really strike the ball off the tee, but knows when to dial it back and can always dial it back at a good rate. Control distance for me, I'm looking for somebody who can hit the ball off the tee from 295 to 300 yards. Um, don't get me wrong. Like if I get somebody that's gonna hit the ball 301 yards or or 294 yards, they're okay too. I'm not gonna be too particular on it, but that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for controlled distance because with that controlled distance, you get a fairly decent tee to green and a fairly decent accuracy. And one of the few things that are going to help me choose a golfer as far as like being my decision maker on picking a golfer, it's going to be um, putting, tee to green, and accuracy. Control distance is going to be in the mix as well, but it's not going to be the most important thing when choosing a golfer. It's going to be what I'm looking for when making putting golfers on my pick list. So if that makes any sense. So when I'm picking my golfers for my lineup, what's going to help further my decision is going to be number 1, putting, number 2, tee to green, number 3, accuracy. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not necessarily looking for par 4 scoring or par 4 birdie. Don't get me wrong. If I can get it, great. But if I can't, it's not going to be a big deal for me simply because I don't see this being a birdie fest. I see this being an actual great tournament that's going to happen Thursday. That's going to start Thursday. It's going to be a competitive tournament, you know? They're going to be bogeys. They're going to be birdies. They're going to be everything. I mean, you got to think about this course. I don't think there is any course history, but I think the greens on this course, depending on the weather, is going to be a putter-friendly course. And also, I believe that this course, when selecting a golfer, you might want to look into scrambling as well, simply because there's a lot of bunkers over here. There's a lot of angled greens. There's a lot of everything on this course. So that's going to play into a golfer's standings as well. But enough of that. Yeah, those are the stats I'm looking for. That's how I'm gonna choose my golfers or make my selections. But moving down further, um, Kang, I think he will make the cut. To be honest with you, I only picked him simply because let's just say I wanted to go two big guys, two high price, high value guys, and stars and scrubs basically. I think he's gonna be somebody that I can easily count on. Keegan Bradley is going to be somebody I can count on. I'm not going to go too much into their stats, simply because this is just my pick list, and if you done a lineup and you wanted to cross reference players and you see them on my pick list, or you see them somewhere that you might think they might fit your lineup, grab them. I think majority of my guys are going to make the cut. Hell, I know I have a few guys that I have probably the whole top 10 guys or golfers in my pick list. I have no doubt in my mind that Justin Thomas and Spieth and Graham Dillette and all those guys won't make the that will make the top 15, top 10. I have Kyle Stanley in here simply because, like I said, man, on paper he is a shoe-in. He needs to get a big win some way, somehow. However, his putter isn't as good. The putter is going to be something that's going to be a decision maker for me, but maybe not for you. So his putter isn't as good, but everything else, his stats, he jumps off the page. So, I mean, he's going to be a pretty decent guy. Paul Casey is going to be a little bit chalky. Charlie Hoffman is going to be chalky. Molinari, I think he's going to be fairly owned, but not too chalky. I think he's a great pick as well. Dustin Johnson, he might be chalky simply because, I mean, let's think about it. Just a few months ago, he was the number one. I think just a few months ago, he was the number one golfer. Or if not, he still is the number one golfer, one of the two. I don't know if Spieth or Matsuyama took that role from him, but either way, his price is so low. It's like, why not pick him? You know, you'll notice I don't have people like John Rahm in my pick list, and he's a great pick too. Like, there's a lot of great picks out here, so it's like you have to go by your stats and see what stats you're going to be looking for in a golfer to reach the top 10, top 5. But Rahm is a great pick too. But however, he's not here. He's not what I'm looking for. Off the tee or tee to green, he's great. Off the tee, he's good. Approach, he's okay. His accuracy is not where I want it to be. His distance, I mean, it's up there. His greens and regulations, I'm not really worried about greens and regulations for people like the John Rahms or the Bombers or the guys who hit the ball pretty far. I'm not really worried about that because of the fairways, but it is something I will be looking at. But his putter is fairly decent. It's not like the best putter, so it's the little things that I'm looking for to help me make my selection. But overall, he's somebody to look at. He just didn't make my list. Schauffele, I don't know. I think he's going to be a pivot play for most people. I think he has the opportunity to do good. But like I said before, if I had to pick a guy in that tier, I would pick Stuart Sink over Schauffele. And I think Stuart Sink is going to have more or less ownership due to the fact that people are going to probably go to Schauffele and overlook him. Adam Hadwin, I think Adam Hadwin is going to be low owned, but he comes with a risk. I mean, he's one of those guys that I kind of put in that same category as Chaz Reavie, where he can be a pretty solid play, but his inconsistencies can just mess your lineup up. So it's like from the notes that I have on him, he's pretty solid around the board. His putting is good. The only thing that I would concern myself with is the fact that his par 4 birdie making isn't where I want it to be. But other than that, he's a pretty solid play. But he comes with a risk. It's that risk factor. Leishman. I have Leishman on here. Leishman is a pretty solid play too. And honestly, I would pick him. But I look at it like this. For all the stats that I'm looking for, that's going to help me make my decision, I would rather go with Daniel Berger over Leishman, simply because Berger has better par 4 scoring, better par 4 birdie making, and his putting is better. Now, when it comes to Leishman, his tee to green is better, his off the tee is better, but his approach is not. And what, like I said, one of the decision makers for me is going to be putting. That's going to be the number one thing that I'm looking for, putting. I can bypass tee to green as long as putting is better. Kisner is I think he's gonna make the cut. He's a pretty solid play. I don't see anything wrong with him. His putting is excellent. His par 4 scoring is okay. His distance isn't where I want it to be, but that's still okay. Honestly, Kisner, I would choose Kisner over Daniel Berger, honestly. But one thing that I'm gonna concern myself with is the fact that he has been playing back to back. So he's been playing a lot of golf lately, and I just don't know how he would hold up at the Northern Trust. His off the tee is great. No, I'm sorry. His tee to green is great. His off the tee is okay. And all these stats, if I had to have 3 picks, or let's just say I put Kisner, Berger, and Leishman in the same category and just say, hey, look, who's better? going off strictly off stats, I would give it to Kisner. Kisner off stats is better than the other two. Only things that hold him back or keeps him, I guess, keeps the other two in contention or being better is the fact that Berger hits more in the par four birdies and par four scoring, but Leishman hit more with the tee to green and accuracy and not accuracy. I'm sorry, distance and I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to play with it. I mean, Kisner is a solid play. Leishman is a solid play. Berger is a solid play. A sneaky play, though, for me is Henley. I know a lot of people are going to go Molinari. And Molinari is a great play and for obvious reasons. But Henley is, I think he's going to go overlooked. I'm flipping through my notes here about him. Wow. Where is it at? Can't find him. That sucks. Yeah, because I go through, like, when I do my stats and all the golfers, I go through every golfer, not just the top 30 or 40 golfers. I go through the whole 120 or 150 or whatever it is. I go through all of them and I write them down. I try to write them down in order, and I try to write them down in a way where I won't forget and I would know who's who. But I know I put him on here simply because he was a sneaky play that he would go overlooked because of his position between a few. Oh shit, there he is, right under sink. Yeah. So Henley is a sneaky play. His putter is good. His par four scoring is okay. It's a little bit above average. Par four birdie making is a little bit above average. His distance is good. The only thing that concerns me is his approach. However, I'm not too concerned with the approach because his accuracy is okay. He is a sneaky play that could get overlooked. I mean, hell, him and Sink can go overlooked. But there's some good play. There's sneaky plays. Duffner, and I'm not gonna touch too much on Duffner. He's I think he's gonna make the cut. He's gonna be a solid play. When it comes to stats that I'm looking for, I believe the only thing I'm worried or concerned about for him is his putter. But his putter isn't bad. It's not okay or great. But other than that, and I put him in the same category as Molinari. So I look at it like this: if you're willing to go with Molinari, why not go with Duffner? Duffner is also he excels at the par four birdie making a lot better than Molinari. His par four scoring ability is okay. It's not okay. It's actually pretty good. The same as Molinari. His distance is almost where I needed to be. Like, his distance is 294. He averages 294. That's great. Molinari averages 292. Like I said, like, if you're willing to go with Molinari, I mean, why not Duffner? He's a solid play as well. And honestly, I believe that and this is the thing, I think Molinari may be fairly owned, but I think Duffner could be less owned simply because of how he performed at the Wyndham, I think. The Wyndham this past weekend. But I think he's a solid play. Honestly, I think if you want to make your lineup, if you want to differentiate your lineup from everybody else, I think you're gonna want to leave a lot of money on the table. I mean, yeah, you're gonna want to pick a lot of these guys from the top from the 11K, 10K range or whatever, but there's guys at the lower range that may get the job done a lot better. I have Ricky Fowler winning this, and the reason why I have Ricky Fowler winning this over Matsuyama, Spieth, and Stinson, simply because Fowler has more. I think Fowler has better control than Matsuyama and Spieth when it comes to distance. But the number one thing, like I keep going back to, is his putter. I think his putter is the best out of the other three. I'm sorry. However, Stinson then comes in number two when it comes to his putter. Stinson has more accuracy. Stinson is actually, I mean, all around, I think Stinson could win it as well. I don't see Spieth winning this. I don't see Matsuyama. I think Matsuyama will come in the top 10, top 5. But I think if I had to pick my winner, I would go with Ricky Fowler and then Stinson, number 2. But I don't know how I mean, you can put both of them in your lineup. It's just you're going to have to figure it out, and you're going to have to make some cuts. Charles Howell, I think he's going to go overlooked. I think Charles Howell is going to go overlooked because of Graham Dillette. Graham Dillette is a better play. Honestly, I have no concerns about Graham Dillette. Actually, he's like a top pick or a top play for me. But Charles Howell, his putter isn't bad. It's actually average. The thing that concerns me about him is his par 4 birdie making ability. I think he's going to come in and make his par 4 scoring, but his par 4 birdie making ability is the thing that worries me. But other than that, he's a solid play too. And when we speak on ownership, I think ownership is going to be fairly targeted in the 7K, somewhat 6K range. You're going to have some guys sprinkled in the 8K, 9K, 10K range or whatever it is. But I think the guys who aren't going to be, I think the top guys are going to be fairly owned as well. But I think the ownership are mostly going to be in that 7K, 6K range. But I think Howell will go overlooked because everybody is going to be looking at Graham Dillette. Again, like I said, Kang is he's going to be one of those guys that where is he at here? Yeah, there he is. Kang, he's going to be one of those guys that are going to get overlooked for Dillette. But I don't see him doing too great when it comes to birdies. As far as making a cut, I believe he'll make the cut. He kind of worries me because he's one of the three I mentioned before. He's a high risk, high reward type of player for me. Not that he's going to get you a ton of birdies, not that he's going to come in the top 10 or whatever, but simply because he's going to make the cut. But if you don't make the cut, then you're assed out because it's like you need 6 for 6 for this type of tournament because there's too many guys that are going to make the cut that everybody else are going to be on. What you're trying to do is seek equity and ownership, and someone like Kang is going to give you that equity and ownership because he's not going to be highly owned. However, he's not going to do anything for your lineup to get you to the top. He's not going to be in the top 10, top 20. I think he might make the top 40, but that's about it. Going back down, Matsuyama. I think Matsuyama is a shoo-in to win as well. However, his putter may slow him up, and I think he might come in the top 5. Justin Thomas. On paper, man, he's like he's popping for me. He's like flying off the charts. But it's that chalk factor I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about that. I know a lot of guys are gonna try to go either. I think a lot of guys are gonna be drawn to Dustin Stinson, not Dustin, but Stinson, and I think if they were to say, hey, you know what, let's make the dream team. Let's go a little balanced. If they go a little balanced, I think they're gonna be looking at Stinson, Thomas, Casey, Berger, Hoffman, Kisner, and Leishman to try to be a little balanced. I'm not saying that all those guys are gonna fit in one lineup, but you never know. It can work. If you play with it, it can work. However, what do I think he'll win? I think he'll come in the top 10, possibly top 5. As far as taking a victory, I'm not too sure. His distance is a little too long. I can't really call his control. His accuracy isn't as great. His greens and regulations they're okay. His birdie making ability is great. I mean, he has he can put it like this. He can. However, I don't know if he will. He can win, but I don't know if he will. He's a great play though. Honestly, he's a great play. Garrigus, another guy that I believe. I don't want to say he's going to be low owned. I think he's not going to be highly owned. However, the thing that worries me about him is his putter. His putter is horrible, but his par 4 scoring ability is great. And par 4 birdie making ability is great. His distance is okay for me. It's 300 yards. His greens and regulation, it's great for me. His accuracy isn't that good. It's just that his putter is it's not as good as I would want it to be. I'm not going to talk about Graham Dillette. I think a lot of people are going to be on him. I think he's going to be highly owned. Lucas Glover. Everything pops for me for him. What worries me is his putter. His putter isn't horrible, but it's not all that either. But other than that, he's a solid play too. I think he may come in the top 20, top 30. I don't think he's going to come in the top 10, but I could be wrong. You never know how tomorrow is going to pan out. A sneaky play that can be a high risk reward type of play is Martin Laird, if I'm pronouncing it right. Where is he at here? I think he definitely would go overlooked simply because I think a lot of people are gonna go and target Chaz Reavie. If I had to put him in a category, I put him in almost the same category as Reavie as far as stat wise. However, the one thing that kind of worries me is the fact that his par 4 scoring ability, it's not bad at all. It's okay. It's just that I think he will make the cut, but I think he's a play if you're trying to go stars and scrubs. And that's the only way I can put it. I put him in that same category as Kang. He's a play if you're trying to go stars and scrubs. So play him at your own risk, but I think he's a pretty solid play. He can be a high risk reward play, but I don't know. Another high risk reward play is Brendan Steele. This guy, the one thing that worries me about him is his putter. But if he can get it going, I mean, I think he's a shoo-in to come in top 20. He can be inconsistent, but he can be very consistent at the same time. So it's like, it's one of those, I don't put him in the same category as a high-risk reward play, but he is one of those guys that I think won't have a lot of ownership, and he can make a difference in your lineup as far as like who you choose to go with or pick, and how you choose to progress in the tournament. But moving on, Stanley, I'm not gonna speak on him. I think I'm starting to grow a biasness towards him because I love his stats. However, I don't like his performance, and it's like he's always missing cuts. He's never doing as good as his stats say he should. But it's okay, it is what it is. The one thing that worries me about him is his putter, and I think he's going to need it for this type of course. If he can get his putter going, he'll make the cut. If he can keep his putter going, he have a good shot at being in contention. So, I'm not going to spend too much time on him. So, Paul Casey, everything pops for me for him. However, because everything pops for me for him, I think he's going to be the chalk. His putter is the only thing that worries me, but not to the point where I'm going to be like, oh, shit, man, he might not do good at all. But he's a solid pick, but I think he's going to be chalk. Along with Charlie Hoffman, I think Charlie Hoffman is going to be chalk. nothing really worries me about Hoffman other than his putter. His putter isn't bad. It's okay. But, yeah, everything stat-wise pops. But I think he's going to be chalk. Francisco Molinari, I think he's going to be fairly owned. Honestly, I would pick Francisco over Hoffman. But that's just me. If I'm looking to try to pick a golfer and go opposite of chalk, I would pivot from Hoffman to Francisco Molinari, or even Cantlay. To be honest with you, Cantlay is I think he's going to be overlooked out of everybody like Kisner, Hoffner, and Molinari and Duffner. I think Cantlay is going to be overlooked, and he can be that. I think he's going to be that sneaky play. Only thing that worries me about him is the fact that his par 4 scoring ability and par 4 birdie making ability is not where I want it to be. It's not bad, but it's not where I want it to be. Dustin Johnson, I think he's going to be somewhat, probably like maybe 10, maybe 15% on because of his low price. I think a lot of people are, or maybe try to get him. I don't think he's going to be too high owned, or maybe he will be because of his price. I don't know. It's a toss up, to be honest with you. Johnson, everything pops. I told you, everything pops. Nothing really concerns me. I mean, other than his distance and accuracy, like I said, he's a bomber. I'm not really targeting bombers for this course, but I know that they are. The right bomber can make the difference. Put it like that. And Johnson is one of the bombers that can make a difference. However, with his low price tag, he might be fairly on, maybe not. I don't know. It's a toss up. Fowler, like I said before, he's going to be one that I think is going to win. I think he's going to be in contention. If not, he's going to be I think he's going to be in the top 5. Same thing with Stinson. Honestly, I would probably go with Stinson more than anything, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about the whole fact that he won the Wyndham Championship. I know that's going to grant him a lot of chalk. But I think he's going to do really well at this tournament too. So it's like you can play against the chalk or you can play with the chalk. And for his price point, I think playing with the chalk would be a better play. All right. Going back to the top, looking at my picks. These are the guys. Some of the guys that worry me are Kyle Stanley, Kang, as far as like making cuts. Stanley, Kang, I guess Steele. And if I had to throw a fourth one in, I would say Hadwin, but I don't know. You never know what may happen tomorrow. All right, those are my picks. If you like what I did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.